I'd now like to invite our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dipak Jain.
Good morning. Come on, you can be better than this, right? Be with. Good morning. Thank you. I was reflecting on the speeches made by Pavni, Abhishek, Lakshay, and now Twinkle, and looking backwards to the day I started my journey. And I tell you, it was 1962 when I joined the KG class. Kindergarten, I was 5 years old. I come from a small town in Assam called Tejpur. I was born and raised there. November 19th, 1962, I remember the day. We were in the class and the teacher came, the headmaster of the school came and said, the Chinese army is less than 50 kilometers from the school. The government of India has asked us to vacate the town. We are trying to reach your parents to take you home, and the city has to be vacated by 7 p.m. We were more excited that we got a holiday, right? I didn't know what a Chinese aggression was and so on. And the Chinese army came from what today we call Arunachal Pradesh. At that time it was called NEFA, Northeastern Frontier Agency. I remember my father came, we came home, we left the town, and in those days there was no bridge on river Brahmaputra. So we had to wait overnight, next morning cross the ferry, and it took us 7 days to come to Rohtak, a town near Delhi, where my grandparents were living. 1962, November 19th. The same week, 55 years later, in 2017, that refugee of the Chinese war was appointed as the president of the top business school in China, and that refugee is standing before you. This is what I would describe. This is the power of education. This is the power of education. Today is a very special day. I remember when I joined my BSc class, the teacher was saying that when you do your degree in science, you can become a great scientist. I remember the teacher mentioning few names, and there were two names that I remember very well. One is Dr. Mashelkar, and other one was a person called Jogabrata Roy, who was at that time the director of Indian Statistical Institute. And I did my degree in statistics. I never knew the day would come when I would have the pleasure to sit next to the legend. And this is another great tribute to Mashelkar Sahab. What I want to tell you is you can achieve everything in life if you focus on learning. There is no better asset in life, there is no better bank balance than the education that you can get. When you look at what our Provost Ravi said and the efforts we put behind. I was in the 4th grade and I stood first in the class. So normally the first person gets some gift, and I got a present, a book written by Pandit Radhakrishnan. And in that book there is a very nice statement. Somebody asked him once, Dr. Radhakrishnan, how would you describe your becoming the president of India? Is this luck or is this some effort that you did? He quoted a very nice, he described the phenomenon, I would say beautifully. He said, let me tell you how I would describe this. He says, when you play cards, the deck of cards that you get is your luck. What you make of those cards is your efforts. To all people here, think the day today as an opportunity you have to join the Geo Institute. What you will make of this opportunity lies in you. As all the speakers said, we would give you the best environment, expose you to beautiful minds from the teachers, give you the best education. And Lakshay, I think it was Lakshay who mentioned the word zeal in the talk. I have always believed that skill, will, and zeal, those three things combined together is going to turn your career wheel. ये जो है चक्कर है, so you have to put all three things together, and we are here to give you the best skills, tools, and concepts. But responsibility also lies with you to make the best use of it. The role of a teacher is not just to teach, but the role of a teacher is to create an interest in the topic and make sure that you take the learning forward. Teaching is something I have never considered as a profession. Teaching is something I worship. Going to a classroom to me is like going to a temple, and every student I consider as a deity. And the role of a teacher, I think, is basically like a symphony conductor. You need to make sure that the class discussions are all well aligned, and at the end, it's music to the ears. Because if one note is misaligned, it becomes noise. So we are making sure that we as teachers would give you our best. But again, I want to repeat, success comes from the passion inside you, and there is no substitute to hard work. The harder you work, the luckier you would appear to others. People think it's all luck. It's not luck. It's your effort. And I just want to say one simple advice. Whenever you travel, I always tell people, introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you. At the worst, what would happen? The person would say, sorry, I'm busy. End of conversation. So once I was telling someone and he says, Professor Jain, I always get the middle seat. I say, you're doubly lucky. You can at least introduce to two, and one would say yes. Anyway, this morning we were having breakfast, and I was with a reporter from Financial Times. A person came to me and said, do you remember me? I said, you're Mr. Gill from the pharma industry. 16 years ago, he was sitting next to me on the plane. And he's from Hyderabad, and today he was just having breakfast here. And my point is, you never know where your paths would cross again. What I mean to say is, introduce yourself, be proactive. And I'm taking a long time, but I would say once it happened, somebody was sitting next to me and said, what do you do? I said, I'm a professor of marketing. So he showed me a presentation. I made some modifications, and many people get advice, few benefit from it. He took it, he applied that thing, and one day I was reading Wall Street Journal, and he mentioned, that person was mentioned, and he said that I got this advice from Professor Jain of Northwestern. My colleagues at Northwestern told me, Dipak, you met the right person at the right place, you are very lucky. I said, no, I did the right thing. I introduced myself, that's why this happened. Be proactive, be passionate, work hard. And I just tell you, whatever the best is in me, I offer to all of you. I say, no challenge ahead of you is greater than the force behind you. Dipak Jain is behind you. My all colleagues are behind you. The entire institute is behind you. You are going to be our brand ambassadors. Let's all work together to make sure that our founding chairpersons, both Mr. and Mrs. Ambani, would one day reflect and say, we all created something that we all can be proud of. Thank you all. And that's for this thing. Very few people in life get to create something from the scratch. Some people get one opportunity. I am getting a second one. I was instrumental in creating the Indian School of Business. So I always say I like to get the middle seat, so I get to do two things at the same time, right? So never complain what you have. Make the best use of whatever you get. enjoy the rest of the day.